7 years ago, when we were just starting to dive with a partner, we had no idea where you could meet catfish and only occasionally stumbled upon this fish in various parts of the river. The idea to make this video and share my own experience arose after a friend of mine asked a very ordinary question. And how much should a catfish weigh to make it hard to take? It seemed to me that I would be able to answer this question quickly, but after a few seconds I realized that everything was not so simple here. About 70% of the successful capture of fish depends on certain conditions, such as, for example, the transparency of the water, the tightness of the place, as well as the accuracy of the shot. Here is a vivid example of ideal conditions: gorgeous transparency of the water, open terrain, a fixed target and, as a result, an ideal hit in the catfish catch, which ensured easy capture of fish. And in this case, the situation is quite the opposite. 10 times less sleep, a very heavily contorted place and not quite a successful hit in this way. It sometimes happens that a catfish weighing 10 kilograms is a much coveted trophy and much more difficult to get than a catfish weighing 50 or more kilograms. We will try to show the most likely places of catfish parking and, perhaps, we will start with the so-called caps. To start diving such caps, preferably against the current, so that all the mud that was raised by you went downstream. In such places, catfish very often stands at the very surface of the water. Sometimes the catfish climbs completely into the grass and the underwater hunter can notice only a small part of the tail. Very often, Serious snags and blockages form under the caps, which can collect a large number of fish. When looking for promising places for hunting, it is also necessary to pay attention to small snags, twigs sticking out of the water. In such places, a serious blockage can form underwater, a snag, which is also an attractive place for catfish. So, well, we checked out one little pile, a good snag. There were small catfish, of course we didn't touch them. Now we have arrived, we will submit a promising bridge. Last year we took some good SAMs under the counter here, so now we'll look under the rack. That is, the essence of our tactics of hunting for itself is first choosing promising rubble, driftwood and other places. And so we gradually dive them. That is, we arrive at a specific place, climb, dive, swim nowhere else, throw everything into the car and move to a new place. Any natural shelters in deep pits can be a parking place for a large catfish.
My favorite tourists.
Damn, I didn't see any short ones for myself. I somehow didn't think. The best fins for a snagger.
Yes.
Rubber. Rubber does not knock, does not frighten. And here's another 60 horsepower. The engine. So, the presence of a knife is mandatory in hunting. She herself will not only provide you with safety from the nets of her own tench, all sorts of permets, but also will help you quickly put down a large one herself, so as not to suffer for a long time with him. Well, so that he does not suffer. So, it is also mandatory to have gloves. It is possible in principle. At work, everything is in work today. When the water is warm, you can buy the cheapest ones. There are 5 hryvnia.
These are the construction reasons.
Yes, construction gloves. Briefly about guns. Here's a partner with a greeny 50 heel, right? Here is a native harpoon on it, a light alloy runner, well, yes, a titanium runner. The tip of the bone, a little dull.
And he doesn't need sharper.
Not?
She hits him so hard that he climbs in.
Well, you can see in the pebbles at the soda factory, you were just a little bit. So, what is the most important thing on a gun when hunting for yourself? The presence of a coil. And depending on what depths you will dive to, you can immediately determine the number of lines. But even if you do not dive no more than 5 meters, then there is no sense to leave a line less than 10 meters. Because if you, for example, dive into the blockage for 5 meters, shoot under the blockage itself and the harpoon goes away for another, say, 3 meters, then you already have to count at least 8 meters for a flare-up. And if you also get into yourself, which will go to the other side of the blockage, then even more. Therefore, it is better to put 15 or 20 meters there, especially this.
This one, which is 20 meters wound on a spool.
Well, yes, it's wound 20 meters on a spool.
Another 10 meters.
Yes, you can safely add more. Therefore, do not spare money on the line. In principle, this is an expendable material, it is not so expensive, but if a catfish pulls a gun from you, it will be much more insulting. Or you just won't be able to surface, you won't have enough of me and will have to throw the gun, then return to the muddy place, where the dream has already stirred up. Well, consider that this is a great chance of losing the gun. Well, the most basic thing, since the hunt is on itself, but at least we mostly do it during the day, but nevertheless it is primarily a lantern, since sleep is under the rubble, under roofs, under bridge posts, in deep pits. Therefore, the presence of a good flashlight. Kostya has a good flashlight, I say right away. The light is killing. This is a model of some kind. Well, you don't remember? Some kind, right? A flashlight? Yes.
For 2000.
Here for 2000, yes, Zelenka. In short, everything he has here is green, whatever one may say, but it is the light that he will save, the one that is needed for spearfishing, and the camera responds well to him. Here, well, if, in principle, for such a lantern, it is already an expensive lantern, of course. If there is not enough money for such a lantern, then you can certainly buy cheaper now on the market. Yes, there are a lot of Chinese analogs on the market right now with good diodes, which are quite enough for the needs to highlight in the blockage. Regarding the tube, so I swam for a long time both with valves and with factory valves and with homemade ones, but still I came here that for hunting on the rubble itself, it is best to use a flexible tube without any valves, that is, water is collected into it when the remnants of oxygen in the lungs are blown out of the tube. The tube is soft, it's an Omer zoom about me, that is, it can be twisted into a knot, a very convenient mouthpiece on it. Why a soft tube? Because, firstly, it is rubber, that is, and if you dive into a blockage and climb under the hats, it does not knock. That is, it does not rattle like a plastic tube. Plus, if you cling to, say, a log, then it bends easily and you calmly climb through. Then it is restored to the same position. Well, a mask is all ready for an amateur.